Button.
There it is.
You were just saying, which nobody could hear, how busy and frantic you were putting together the stream.
Actually, I decided to mute the stream because, as we know, the extras, some are a little, like, R-rated, so I thought you could just read my lips instead. What's up, guys? It's Qingqiu, and you all are so very lucky because my gorgeous fiancé Stitch decided to join us for the first 2 minutes of the stream. However, I did reread the last chapter to Stitch because Stitch is a Luo Qingyuan lover, and
I really am.
I wanted to hear her opinion on if Luo Qingyuan thought that the mystic was thinking he was in love with Shen Qingqiu, and we laughed about it. It was really funny. Yeah, but because it is the first month of Pride,
Of the other 11 months of Pride.
yes, it is the first month of Pride today. It's June 1st.
Yeah.
Which means...
I hope Shen Qingqiu gets laid. I don't know.
Yeah, me too. But we have an exciting announcement, and that is that Stitch mostly does all the work for the Danmei Book Club. And me and Stitch and a graphic designer worked on Danmei Book Club.
Oh yeah, do you see these?
Logo!
Look how, okay, I could know it's been in a couple of videos so far, but now it's like really official because the website's all set up. And we worked really hard on making a logo that would like go with the book club videos, and it would kind of represent some of the beautiful motifs in a lot of different books, especially the historical ones, of course.
Yeah, and we didn't want it to be too overtly one or the other because just like a good song, I think you can assign your own meaning to it. You're like, whose sword is that? You can have you can think about whoever's sword it is.
Right, it doesn't just go with like one.
Whose fan is that? It can be whoever's fan you so wish. I'm like, some days
have fans.
Some days I'm like, maybe that's Windmaster's fan, maybe that's Shen Qingqiu's fan, maybe that's Shen Zhishuan's fan. Maybe those swords are Wangshin's. Maybe they're...
Maybe the fan was the fans we fanned along the way.
Yeah.
I don't know, but... But we went back and forth on it and really thought about all the little details, so it's very fun and exciting to finally be able to show it to you guys officially.
CSCL says, maybe we are the fan.
We are Danmei Book Club fans.
Yes, and we also got mugs.
Yes!
And I'll have you know, I ordered 3 of these fucking mugs because I was trying to get the color to print properly on it, and the color just wouldn't print properly on the mug for some reason. It wouldn't print like a nice red and gold.
Yeah.
But it prints nice on the shirt. And on the sticker.
Yes.
So,
They've all been quality
black
tested. mug
comes, and then, oh yeah, there's also the Fred String of Fate mug.
2 different sizes.
This is actually a late night infomercial now. Yeah, you can get in the bigger mug size or littler mug size, you know. There's actually an even bigger mug size for some of the options. And yeah, if you don't check out the shop, you're actually homophobic because it's Pride Month. Yeah.
But I hope you guys like it.
Yeah, and I want to show you the sticker because I think the sticker looks really good.
Yeah, I really like the sticker. It's cool. It feels like almost like a TV show or something because we've got like the little logo for the videos. I'm like, ooh, how professional. How very cool. And also, you guys, the shirts are made of like Bella canvas, and it's like the softest t-shirt material ever. It's like what all my favorite shirts are made of. So I'm very happy with that.
Good soft
it's
shit.
It's so soft. It's like, I love it so much.
Also, I got a large, and I'm 5'9", and they're quite big. Mm-hmm. And you got a medium, and these are both pretty big on us, but we like big shirts. But yeah, and they go up to size 5XL, I think. So there's lots of new sizing options. There's lots of new shipping options because I'm using a different service than I was previously. Like a whole new site, whole new shipping and everything. So should be much quicker shipping, especially in North America. But there are international options as well. Oh, yeah, and so there's a Kichter sticker option and Danmei Book Club one. I think it looks so good on the...
Yeah, the colors show up so perfectly on the sticker.
And there's a Jung Chung doing a kickflip one. You become our little unofficial mascot.
Very
now nice. Official mascot.
Yes.
Quinn Silva says, Happy Pride Year.
Exactly.
Fuck yeah, it is Pride Year. Well, you have done your service. I will free you to do whatever fiancés do, I suppose.
I'm going to go back to reading QJJ because I've been bad. I have not been reading.
Okay, I love you.
Bye. Have fun, guys.
Wait, this isn't the chair I sit in. Okay, 1 second. Okay. Kate says, I require soft fabric for my old dusty skin. Turtle Sloth, have you sent a message into customer support? Because that is a crazy long amount of time. Kate says, joke on you. I already looked at the shop. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Rose City Kimono says, I have been wanting that t-shirt since you first wore them in the book club video. Oh, thank you. And Guang Hui, I'm so sorry to hear that you're having a rough day. I'm here now to talk about Scum Villain, and hopefully we can all relax and just chill out together. I'm really sorry. That sounds super stressful. Kate says, Stitch and me in Lochinga solidarity. Kichter instinctively sitting in the Omega chair. No! The Omega chair calls to you. You are one and the same. Oh my god. I should have just made shirts that say kichtersandomega.com. That should have been my new domain. Leo says, hello from the hospital. I'm chilling getting my IV infusion, and happy Pride, everyone. Hello, Leo. Happy Pride. Broccoli Fox says, I'm going, but just checking if everything is in order. Everything is in order, Broccoli Fox. Glad to see you. Kate says, surprise scum is the best kind of scum. Oh my gosh. Turtle Sloth, that is awful. If you send me your order number, I will send them an email as well, because that's ridiculous. I'm so sorry that that happened. Cat's Cow says, hello, Kichter. I'm currently styling my Howl wig for my con. Oh, exciting! JT Joyful says, Sumo says, hello, by the way. Hello, Sumo! Kohaku says, found my slightly old Hot Topic exclusive Spirited Away Haku sweatshirt, and thankfully it fits still, which I'm happy about. That sounds awesome. That's fucking sweet. Vic Going says, today I met some new Motozushi fans and drew Wei Wangshin kissing for Pride Month. Hell yeah! Hell yeah. Hey, did anyone here participate in some mermaid. With the beginning of Pride Month, we have to mourn the end of mermaid. I know Kate drew a fucking incredible mermaid art. Broccoli Fox says, if everything is in order, make sure it isn't by the end. Order is boring. Oh, Tina! Thank you so much for your donation, Tina! My first week at my new job went well, and after my first paycheck, I will definitely need to get the Danmei Book Club merch. Oh, thank you so much! I really appreciate that. I'm glad to hear that your first week went awesome. That's fantastic. CSCL says, this extra is 36 pages, but the next one is only 19. 55 pages may be very possible. Ooh, okay. We shall see. I'm not sure what time dinner is at. I know my aunt was still gardening. CSCL says, totally not me trying to rush you to the Mo Shang extra. Oh, is the Mo Shang extra like this one, a next one, and then it would be that one? I feel like I need to make sure Sugar Kiss is at that stream. Miss Rosie, thank you so much for your donation. Hi, Kichter and friends. I might be in and out tonight. It's game night. Going great so far, other than burning my finger cooking. Oh, no! Oh, I'm so sorry. That sucks. Have fun, everyone. I hope your finger gets better. I really fucked up my finger last night, too. Oh, my goodness. This is all... I had my setup for doing videos earlier, because I also released a video like 5 minutes ago. Ah! Good. Oh, now you can see all the stuff on my floor. That's what streams are about, though. The Mo Shang one is 2 chapters long, actually. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, I'm very excited. Okay, I'm very, very excited then. Ugh. Sorry, guys. If my hair's not good, the stream's not good. Oh my god. Something like that. Kohaku, oh, I'm sorry you're having cramps. That sucks. Oh, I need more Mojang. Nice. Oh my god, I love those emojis. Chris Noir, you did not miss any scum. We have just begun. Quins. Oh my god, I'm gonna sneeze. It went away. Esper Lady, thank you so much. You're so sweet. That's so kind of you. I appreciate it. Lady Demonic says, are you having fun assembling your room again? I am. At this point, it's like, ugh, it's like a little bit stressful. I just want it to be like done. I kind of moved everything that was messy in the living room into my office. So I gotta deal with that eventually. There we go. Chris Noir says, hey, so remember that whole gonna save up for a piano? Well, the brainworms took me, so it's now in my living room. Oh, that's awesome. That's so exciting. Having a piano, that's fantastic. Sparkmater said, bless you? It didn't happen. It was very unsatisfying. Kate says, or we could read the Liu Shen extra again. That was so good. I want to talk to you more about Liu Shen. Oh my god. You should draw them. I haven't read any. I read one Liu Shen fic where Shen Qingqiu is, he needs he's painting and he needs Luo Qingqiu to pose for him painting. It was quite indulgent. Kate says, oh, I did draw them, but I must draw more. Yes, I mean more. Like a French girl, indeed. I didn't read the one that everybody recommended me yet. Kate says, I need Luo Qingyuan to spread them. Oh, God. Oh. Did anybody get up to anything fun yesterday? Yesterday, I went to the Asian night market here, which was really fun. They actually had some TGCF blind boxes, and I couldn't resist. And got a pin. And I wanted to get Hualian almost making out, but instead we got Shailan catching Hong Konger. The art was still really beautiful, though. And we also got Link Click blind box, and Stitch got Lu Guang, so that was worth it. And I also bought a Ghetto pin, because I'm like super Sadosugu brain rotted right now. And we bought a cup that was shaped like Snoopy, where I got coconut slush in it. And we also got Rotato, which is the big potato on a stick. And we got the special, like, dessert bun. And, Tongaloo, where it's like the freaking strawberries covered in sugar, and those were so good. Oh my god, that was like fucking delicious. It was really good. Esper Lady says, yay, Rotato! Yes! Fuck yes, Rotato's so good. It was at the Richmond Night Market, yeah. Ooh, Tina said tried a new poke and milk tea place that opened up in my area. That sounds good. Emma says, I was at work yesterday, but translated the latest TGCF mini theater from the audio drama for the Dragon Boat Festival. Yes, I saw that. I saved that to watch later. I was like, gonna include it in my video today, but I ran out of time. I've never had Hawthorn Berry Tonghulu, but I'm sure it's amazing. Mine had grapes, pineapple, and strawberry on it, and the strawberry was my favorite. Richmond, Canada. Richmond, BC. Not Virginia. Big month. I also went to the beach with Ray because it was Ray's birthday yesterday. Famed fanfic author Ray. Bless you. Case File 5 comes out in June. Oh my god. Oh, and Run Wild. Oh shit. Oh my god, I've got some reading to do. When does Run Wild come out, Spark Major? Same day as Case File. Oh shit. When does Case File come out? Too soon? Oh fuck. Ah! So much to do. It's so fun though. Ella says, can we get more TGCF audio drama videos? Yeah! Right now, they just released a bunch of stuff with Yushi Huang. So the confession should be the next thing that happens, I think. The next big thing. So I'd love to react to that. Cat's Cow says, I crocheted a Gudetama plush as my Saturday plan. That's awesome. Stitch and I have also been playing a lot of Mario and Luigi Brother Ship. I'm trying to finish it before the Switch 2 comes out. Then it'll be Mario Kart every day. Stephanie says, a book can come out too soon? I think it's just because Stitch is working on a bunch of Danmei Book Club videos right now. Kate says, I need to hear I hope the extras are part of the audio drama. I need to hear the statues grinding on each other. Oh my god. Oh my god. I can hear the exact sound in my head right now. Oh my god, that's funny. Someone should force you to go to Pride post-canon. Oh my god. Oh my god. Hey, I mean, in the most recent one, he kind of was like, am I gay? Just Me says, may I ask which stand had the TGCF merch? Yes, it's like you walk in, and there's 2 aisles. In the second aisle, it was the first booth. Emma says, oh dear lord. Kohaku says, technically a candy apple is tangulu as well, because it's a hard sugar covering an apple. Yeah, I guess so. It's just, I think it's the best on a strawberry. What is Art Fight? Hi, Rushalt. Rushalt says, hello, I've been watching your channel for a really long time. I'm a big fan. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thanks for coming to tell me that. Moto ASMR says, can I get a birthday shout out for my mom? She eavesdrops on these book club sessions. Also, I need to paint my walls. What shade of pink should I use? Oh my gosh. Moto ASMR's mom, happy birthday. I hope you have an incredible day and you deserve it. And pink. Ooh. Oh man, as you can tell, I actually really like pink and purples, you know? Any pink. You can't go wrong with any pink. Everybody do happy birthday Moto's mom in the chat. EL says, I need to know your thoughts on whether macaroni is a soup. Right off the bat, it's one of those things where it's probably like, technically? I don't think so, though. Because I like my macaroni to not be super wet. Like, when I'm making KD, I use, like, minimal milk. I like it to be more sticky. Sparkbaiter says, I fear Case File 5 is going to give me a stroke. They come out on the 10th. Oh, okay, we've got time. We've got so much time. And thank you so much for donating, Moto. Prixit Toilet said, I drew my lesbian OCs for Pride Month. Nice! Fantastic. Moto ASMR's mom says thank you! Yay! We did it! You don't like wet macaroni? Bro, you're missing out. I like it stickier and cheesier. I was very upset over soup today earlier, actually, because we like this special tomato soup, and I accidentally bought the one that has like no sodium in it, so it tasted really bad. Esper Lady says, I also like it sticky and cheesy. Hell yes! Oh my god. I feel so seen. Thank you. Orion says, I like making Kraft mac and cheese with extra milk on purpose. No! That's so funny. Sienna says, I got a free barbecue from my grandma today and made burgers on it when we brought it home. Oh, that's amazing. We have a barbecue at our new place too. I gotta learn how to use it. And then I'll be a real lesbian. Pull on wet mac. No! JT Joyful says, I technically didn't finish it, but sketched out my OCs in Mermaid, but I want to write a book with these characters. Might make a merman AU as an extra. Oh, that's cool. That's sick. An AU of your own guys. That's awesome. The spoon melted. Your ex-boyfriend tried to stir a microwave mac and cheese with a plastic spoon and it melted. Oof. I will need a grill apron. You're right. I wore Stitch's very cutesy apron today because I made banana bread and it was fucking awesome. I don't bake a lot. I bake like with my aunt around like Christmas time and stuff like that. And Stitch bakes, but I don't honestly know if I've ever really baked anything just by myself. But 3 bananas went bad or like too ripe. And I was like, you can make banana bread with brown bananas, right? And so I looked up a recipe and I made it and it was perfect. It was literally perfect. Quinn Silva says, if you get the chance, try mac and cheese and add cheese whiz. PS yellow chat for the cheese talk. Cheese whiz, I like cheese whiz in small doses. It's not my favorite, but my dad really likes it on like celery. It's pretty good. I would try that. I will try anything. Thank you, Quinn Silva, for your yellow cheese donation. Sparkmater says, you look so cute in that apron. Thank you. I felt very cute. Kicked her leaning into the Binghe allegations. You know, I was inspired by Binghe. I was like, you know what? I am going to cook some banana bread for my shizen. Stitch. And she loved it. I used 3 bananas. And most of the recipes I saw said about 3 or 4 bananas. Eel, don't worry. Don't panic in Volume 7. Panic for Volume 8. I put chocolate chips in the banana bread, and then I was like, oh shit, this would be so good with nuts too. I'm so glad that this is a banana bread positive house. Banana nut. Banana nut. All right, shall we read 531? Could somebody make a comment on the video that we began reading at 531? And could you guys all click like on the stream to help me out? And I'll do one last tiny little promo to check out my new merch at kickter.com, my new website, if you haven't already. Okay. Yue Qingyuan and Shen Qingqiu. Oh my, are we gonna learn about the past? A clattering rang out as Shenzhou sent the little black dish flying with a kick. He crossed his arms and said nothing. The youth, who was either Shi Se or Shi Wu, there's a note, says, means 14 and 15, shrank back, while the young boys around him couldn't help but send him encouragement with their eyes. So he steeled himself and put on a brave face to say, Shenzhou, don't think you can throw your weight around. You don't own this street. What gives you the right to tell us we can't stay? The main street was wide and even, and many people came and went upon it. If one wanted to beg, it was the best and prime location. Some of the passerbys watched this group of children fight, but even more hurried on their way. Bye, Kate! And this new brat had the gall to challenge him? Shenzhou looked down and around, preparing to find a brick with which to teach him a lesson, when a tall youth happened to walk over. He saw Shenzhou rolling up his sleeves, head lowered, and hastily went to stop him. Xiaozhou, let's go somewhere else. No, said Shenzhou. I'm staying here. The first youth took the opportunity to tattle. Chiga, he's bullying me. That wasn't bullying, Shiwu, said Yue Qi. Xiaozhou was just joking around. Who's joking? Said Shenzhou. I'm telling him to get lost. This is my territory. I'll kill anyone who tries to steal it. With Yue Qi standing in front of him, Shiwu grew bold. He leaned forward and yelled, Every time we go to a new place, you always hog the best spot. Everyone's been sick of you for ages. You think you're all that? That everyone's afraid of you? Shuwu, Yue scolded. Amidst the struggle, Shenzhou kicked Shuwu in the shin. If you want a fight, I'll give you one. Only losers would blame their spot for their incompetence. You bastard. Who's your chiga? I dare you to say that again. You're the bastard. I bet you'll get sold off soon and end up a pimp. Oh my god. Zalian made an entire Shang Qinghua cosplay in a day. That's awesome. Oh my god. Congrats. And Spark Major, thank you so much for your donation. No spoilers, check out the merch. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. Yueqi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Where did you learn that kind of nonsense language? Then he dragged Shenzhou off to the side of the road while coaxing him. All right, you're the most competent one here. Even if you didn't pick and choose your spot, you'd be the best. So let's change streets. Shenzhou stepped on his foot. Get off me! Like I'm scared. Come on, fight me. Want to gang up on me? Go ahead. Of course Yueqi knew he wasn't scared. If he really let Shenzhou brawl with the other kids, he would fight dirty. He'd gouge at their eyes and kick them in the belly or crotch or shin. He was terribly vicious, and the other party would be the one to end up suffering and bawling in terror. Yueqi forced down a smile. Are you done stepping on my foot yet? If you are, stop it. Chiga will take you somewhere fun. What shitty fun? Shenzhou asked savagely. The most fun I'll have is if they're all dead. Yueqi looked at him helplessly and shook his head. With a Qi for 7 and a Zhou for 9, naturally there had also been a 1 through 6. But of the previous batch of children, every 6 and under had either been sold off or was long dead. Of the children left, these two were the closest. When Shenzhou had been a little younger, he'd been small and skinny. Yueqi had held his head while they sat on the ground, a letter of blood before them. And a letter of blood is a piece of text written using one's own blood as ink, commonly for expressing one's grudges, hatreds, mourning, or determination. Written on it was the tale of how all their siblings and parents had died, how they'd stumbled upon hardship while searching for other relatives, and how now they were penniless and alone, drifters without anyone to depend on, etc. According to the orders given to them, Yueqi should have wailed and wept, but no matter what, he never could manage to cry. Therefore, this task had instead fallen to Shenzhou, even though he was faking an illness that supposedly left him too feeble to weep. But he was small, and his face wasn't too unsightly to look at, so whenever he sobbed and bawled, the passerbys found him pitiful and generously opened their wallets. It would have been no exaggeration to call him a money tree. Eventually, as Yueqi gradually grew older, he had become less and less willing to do this kind of thing, and so he'd been relegated to patrolling and keeping a lookout. Shenzhou had wanted to go with him, but had been forbidden to do so. Therefore, he continued to terrorize the streets, a scourge to everyone in his path. As the pair were about to head away from the most prosperous street in town, there suddenly came the sound of thundering hooves. Stall owners on both sides of the street paled in a panic. Those with carts pushed them away, while others ran as if their mortal enemy approached. Yueqi didn't understand the reason for this, but Shenzhou had just dragged him to the roadside when a gigantic horse turned onto the street. The horse's bit was forged from pure gold, heavy and solid, gleaming and bright. Haughtily riding astride the beast was a spirited young youthful master. His face was fair and striking, his brows and eyes slender. Where the light struck his dark irises, 2 brilliant pinpoints shone, an effect blindingly piercing. His purple hem fluttered against both sides of his saddle, his narrow sleeves sat snug around his wrists, and in his pale hand he gripped a jet-black whip. Moran? Dazzled by the gold, Shenzhou couldn't help but lean out to look, but Yueqi quickly pulled him backward, and the two of them retreated. They hadn't walked for long when they heard a scream and the sound of people scattering. A group of young boys sprinted toward them and pounced on Yueqi after another, practically smearing him with their terrified snot and tears. Shenzhou flew into a rage, but Yueqi hurriedly said, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" "Shuwu's gone!" someone wailed. Yueqi halted in his tracks. "He didn't follow you?" "There was too much going on," the child bawled. "I couldn't see clearly." "Don't panic. Slow down and tell me everything." As it turned out, when that young master on horseback had taken his guards up past the street entrance, he'd glanced sideways and spotted Shi Wu and the other children on the street corner. "Where are they from?" he'd asked, wrinkling his nose. "They're beggar children, young Master Cho," said a guard. "We don't know where they come from." "What are you doing, allowing such filthy things to hang about?" The guards needed no further instruction from their master. They brazenly stalked over to chase away the children, but Shuwu had been unwilling to leave so easily, not after he'd finally managed to snatch away Shenzhou's territory. He yelled angrily, "What gives you the right to kick us out?" He'd wanted to finish with, "You don't own this street," but then that youthful young master waved his hand. A dark shadow descended, slashing a bloody whip mark onto Shuwu's face. "No!" The wound was barely a hair's breadth from his eye. Shuwu had yet to register the pain. He was scared stiff. That youthful young master smiled brightly. "What right? Not much of one. It's just that my family built this street." Whether from pain or fright, Shuwu collapsed on the ground with a thud. Shenzhou hadn't finished listening to this tale before he burst into loud laughter, but he soon found himself unable to laugh anymore. Yue Qi did a head count and discovered that some other children were missing as well. He looked back and said, "You should go. I'll come soon." Shenzhou was full of schadenfreude. "Leave it. Don't go poking your nose into this. That Cho guy doesn't actually have the guts to kill them." Yue Qi shook his head. "You head back. I'm the oldest. I can't leave this alone." "He won't die," Shenzhou insisted. "At most, he'll just get beaten up. That'll teach him a lesson." "Go back," said Yue Qi. Unable to restrain him, Shenzhou spat. "You meddle too much." After yelling this, he ran after him. Part 2. Chou Jianluo thought Shenzhou was incredibly fun. It was like hitting a dog. If you hit a dog, it would duck its head and cringe, cowering away as it whimpered. Though this reaction posed no threat, it also wasn't very interesting. However, if you stepped on this dog, it would growl low in its throat while staring at you fearfully, but it'd be too afraid to fight back, and that was interesting. He gave Shenzhou a slap. By now, Shenzhou had doubtless mentally sworn to fuck the Cho family's graves 118 times, but he could only obediently take these kicks. He even exposed his face for Chou Jianluo to hit. How incredibly fun. As Chou Jianluo thought this, he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Shenzhou had just taken a good beating and was currently cowering off to the side. Chou Jianluo practically rolled with laughter as he eyed him. After he'd purchased Shenzhou, he'd locked him up for a few days, leaving him covering in grime and filth. When Chou Jianluo looked at him again, he had been utterly disgusted, so he'd picked him up, dangling him like a kitten as he walked him over to several heavyset guards and then told them to scrub him clean. Thereafter, Shenzhou had been given a thorough scrubbing and cleaning, to the point that they'd almost scoured off a layer of his skin. Then they'd lugged him back to the study. Now that years of grime and dust had been boiled off of him, and because they'd pressed too hard when washing his face and arms, his pale skin glowed with a soft flush, while his wet hair still steamed from the bath. Standing off to the side, neatly dressed, he really did cut a rather pitiful figure. Chou Jianluo studied him for a long time, head cocked. A strange feeling rose in his heart, alongside a dash of fondness. He even held back the kick he'd planned on giving him. "Can you read?" he asked. "I know a couple characters," Shenzhou said quietly. Chou Jianluo laid out a sheet of snow-white paper, then rapped on the desk. "Try to write them." Shenzhou reluctantly picked up a wolf hair brush and held it, his grip surprisingly correct. He dipped it in some ink and thought for a moment, then first wrote a 7. After another pause, he wrote a 9. Though the direction of his strokes was all wrong, the results were neither crooked nor slanted. Indeed, they were uniform and impeccable. "Where did you learn these?" asked Chou Jianluo. "I watched someone write." This brat knew absolutely fuck all. He only understood how to copy patterns, yet he'd been able to fool Chou Jianluo, which left him incredibly surprised. Thus feeling increasingly amiable, he copied the tone of his family's old tutor and praised the boy. I have to sneeze. Oh, it's happening. Oh my god. Summer allergies. All he knew was him and Chiga. Thus feeling Thanks for all the bless yous. Thus feeling increasingly amiable, he copied the tone of his family's old tutor and praised the boy. You have some talent. If you put some effort into studying, you too might be able to go places. Zhou Jianluo was 16, 4 years older than Shen Zhou, and he bore the weight of all his parents' expectations. Having been raised in a house of golden bricks, he thought everyone beneath him. The only person he adored, the apple of his eye, was his little sister, Haitong. She was the darling of the entire Zhou family. Whenever Zhou Jianluo was in front of Haitong, he always played the good older brother. In the past, he'd wished his sister would never marry, and now that Shen Zhou was here, he began to hatch an alternative plan. Zhou Haitong loved Shen Zhou very much. If Shen Zhou were properly educated, Zhou Jianluo could turn him into a brother-in-law on the cheap. That didn't seem bad at all. Then his sister would remain by his side, and he could continue using Shen Zhou for his own amusement. That's weird. As long as the boy remained honest and obedient, there would be no issues. If Haitong married Shen Zhou, she wouldn't need to leave, and she'd rely on their family for food, clothes, and money. It would be as good as not marrying her off in the first place. The plan had no flaws, other than the fact that matching her with Shen Zhou was a bit like letting a toad get a taste from some sumptuous swan meat. Having calculated his plans to perfection, Zhou Jianluo would often give Shen Zhou warnings like, "If you dare make Haitong unhappy, I'll make sure to end your sorry life. If not for Haitong, I would have beaten you to death long ago. Humans must understand and repay kindness. Our family gave you the chance to play human, so even if it means repaying us with your life, that's just how it should be." The older Shen Zhou grew, the more he understood that this person wouldn't tolerate even the slightest bit of disobedience. His every request was to be obeyed, even if what he heard filled him with indescribable disgust. He knew he must not express it. Only in this way could he avoid a vicious beating. What was he making him do that was so disgusting? Yue Qi had insisted on retrieving Shiwu and the other children. Right away, he almost collided with the hooves of Zhou Jianluo's horse. In that instant, Shen Zhou forgot Yue Qi's warnings that it would be best not to reveal their rudimentary immortal arts to others. He transformed metal into a sharp blade and stabbed it into the horse, straight to the bone. Zhou Jianluo and his horse spun around in place to the street, the animal rearing and bucking wildly. Shen Zhou silently cursed him to fall off with all his might, to fall and break his neck, but as it happened, Zhou Jianluo had outstanding horse-riding skills. Even with the horse's forelegs in the midair, he remained firmly in the saddle. "Who did that?" he roared. "Who did that?" Of course Shen Zhou had done it. But even afterwards, when Zhou Jianluo came knocking, if Shiwu hadn't taken the initiative to say so, no one would have ever known of Shen Zhou's interference. If they hadn't saved Shiwu, he would have been trampled to death beneath the Zhou family's hooves. He'd kept his sorry life, only to betray them. Shiwu should have been trampled to death, trampled into minced meat for thousands to spit upon. Chiga should have never gone back to save him. Even if Shiwu had died, it would have served him right. As Shen Zhou suffered through day after day of torment, he turned those sweet yet futile thoughts over and over again in his mind, drawing strength and comfort from them. And he waited for a certain someone to keep his promise, to rescue him from this sea of suffering. Oh, man. I like how Shen Zhou's like, it was your fault for interfering, but he was the one who ended up trying to save him in the end and, like, caused all this to happen. He did a good deed one single time, and look how it turned out. Damn. Part 3. Shen Zhou thought a lot about why Yue Qi never returned to look for him. Perhaps he'd been discovered while making his escape, and the human traffickers had broken his legs. Perhaps he had been unable to find any food on his journey, and being unwilling to beg, he'd starved to death. Perhaps his potential had been too meager, so none of the immortal mountains had been willing to take him in. Shen Zhou even imagined walking to the ends of the earth looking for Yue Qi's remains, and how, after finding them, he would dig him a grave with his own 2 hands. Perhaps he would even do his best to shed a tear. Oh my gosh. Or, if Yue Qi was fortunate enough to still be alive, Shen Zhou imagined how he himself would cast away everything to rescue Yue Qi from whatever hellish straits he'd fallen into, even though Shen Zhou had himself only gone from the wolf's den to a tiger's lair, and so was in dire straits himself. Oh, I'm kind of really shipping Shen Zhou and Yue Qingyuan. But no matter what, he could never have imagined this kind of reunion. He raised and lowered his sword again and again, sending blood splattering everywhere in a horrifying tableau. Flecks of blood splashed into his eyes, but he only blinked a few times and otherwise wore no expression. One could have described his movements as deft and composed. After taking him from Zhou Manor, the most Wu Yanzi had taught this disciple of his were things like murder and arson, stealth and robbery, and how to profit from chaos. For example, what he was doing now, using the Immortal Alliance Conference to loot the bodies of some foolish, immature, and rich children who had thought themselves elite cultivators, divesting them of their storage pouches and then disposing of their corpses. When Yue Qi discovered him, he must have been stunned frozen by Shenzhou's ghastly appearance, for he didn't even register the disciples' bodies on the ground, and instead took 2 steps towards him. Shenzhou shivered and abruptly looked up. The moment Yue Qi got a clear look at his face, both of them paled into a bloodless white. "Stay away!" Shenzhou yelled. Unexpectedly, his first reaction was to throw himself to the ground, snatch an emergency firework from one of the bodies, and release it into the sky. Yue Qi was shaken but still confused. He walked towards Shenzhou while extending his hand, opening his mouth to say, at which point a disturbing chortle emerged from the dense forest beside them. "Hey, Kenzie!" "My dear disciple, who is he? He scared you so terribly. Do you know what it is to be afraid?" "Oh, so you do know what it is to be afraid." Shenzhou released his grip, and the firework casing fell soundlessly to the ground. He hastily turned around. "Shifu, I'm not afraid of him. I made a mistake just now. I wasn't paying proper attention, which gave this lot on the ground the chance to release a firework. What I'm afraid of is that someone will show up soon." Yue Qi had realized that this situation was incredibly dangerous. Without batting an eyelid, he began to gather spiritual energy. Wu Yanzi humphed. "When I saw that firework, I guessed that was the case. You've always been quick and nimble. What happened this time? If they were going to set off fireworks, why didn't you chop off their hands?" Shenzhou lowered his head. "It's all this disciple's fault. We should go at once. If those old men get here, we won't be able to leave even if we try." But Yue Qi moved to block them, raising the sword in his hand. He glanced at Shenzhou with faintly reddened eyes, his voice hoarse but unusually resolute. "I can't let you leave." Furious, Shenzhou glared at him. Wu Yanzi looked him up and down, then gave his sword the same once over. He scoffed. "From Sangchong Mountain, and even Chongding Peak, the Xuansu sword, Yue Qingyuan?" At this, Shenzhou startled, then swiftly returned to his urging. "Shifu, since he's from Sangchong Mountain, we won't be able to kill him swiftly. It would be better for us to escape and fast. Once everyone arrives, we'll be finished." Wu Yanzi sneered. "Sangchong Mountain may possess grand prestige, but I need not stoop so far as to fear a junior cultivator. Besides, he came seeking death himself." As he and Yue Qi truly came to blows, Shenzhou realized his worry for Yue Qi, together with the various clumsy tricks he'd used because of it, were rather laughable. He was terrified that this master of his, Wu Yanzi, terrified to death even. But as Yue Qi, or Yue Qingyuan, met him in combat, he proved to be more than Wu Yanzi's equal, even without drawing his sword. Nevertheless, Shenzhou couldn't relax completely. He was all too familiar with Wu Yanzi's fighting style and last resort trump cards. Wu Yanzi had a set of cursed black light talismans. Countless times Shenzhou had witnessed Wu Yanzi toss out one of these paper talismans when at a disadvantage and score a kill by catching his opponent off guard. More than one famous cultivator had failed to escape this sinister maneuver. Moreover, it was easy to see that as he was now, Yue Qi had little experience fighting enemies, and his movements were by the book, and he methodically attacked and parried in turns. Therefore, right when Wu Yanzi was about to throw a talisman, Shenzhou stabbed a sword through his back. Yue Qi grabbed his hand and frantically sprinted away. Oh my god, this is so romantic. Like, they're out there, like, they're on the run, they're escaping, they're murdering people together. Like, this is great. Having gone through a fierce battle, both youths were in shock. They leaned against a tree, panting heavily. Once he'd calmed down, Shenzhou finally gave Yue Qi a long, thorough look. His cultivation was extraordinary, and his bearing poised and steady. His clothes weren't of the common make either, and his demeanor was exactly like that of the great masters. He couldn't have been further from the hellish straits Shenzhou had imagined. This was not Yue Qi, but Yue Qingyuan. Yue Qingyuan looked excited, his face flushed as he prepared to speak, but Shenzhou opened fire first. You joined Sangchong Mountain? Shenzhou couldn't tell what Yue Qingyuan was thinking, but the excitement on his face faded a little. Indeed, his complexion paled. You've become Chongding Peak's head disciple? Not bad, said Shenzhou. Why didn't you come back to look for me? Oh, Rick. Shenzhou waited for some time, but the next words never came. So he said, Why aren't you saying anything? I'm still waiting. I've already waited so many years after all. Waiting a little longer will be nothing. But how could Yue Qingyuan say anything? Shenzhou crossed his arms. Finally, his waiting was rewarded with Yue Qingyuan's quiet words. Sorry, it's Chiga who let you down. Ice-cold fury crawled up inside Shenzhou, engulfing his entire heart. His mouth and nose seemed to fill with the taste of his frenzied, raging blood. First he'd been a rat forced to swallow its anger, cringing while awaiting more beatings. Then he'd become a gutter rat, scurrying back and forth as everyone chased and hit it. No matter how he changed, he was a rat, cowering with its tail tucked between its legs, unable to see the light, letting years slip by in vain, squandering its time in life. Meanwhile, Yue Qingyuan was a true phoenix that had flown to the summit, a carp that had leapt over the dragon's gate. Sorry, sorry, sorry. All you've ever known to do is say sorry. Shenzhou sneered, then delivered the final ringing blow. It's utterly useless. Some people were rotten from birth. Shenzhou thought of himself in exactly this way, someone vile and poisonous from the start, because at that instant he came to a crystal-clear realization. That he'd rather have met a Yue Qi who died in some unknown corner, his remains unsightly and forgotten, than a Yue Qingyuan who was elegant and powerful, his prospects and future boundless. Oof. Oh, God. Yeah, Yue Qingyuan's inability to explain. Like, fuck. Oh, my God. It's so painful. Shenzhou hated far too many people and far too many things. Obviously, people found it hard to say anything good about the character of someone who hated everything, so fortunately, by the time he became Shen Qingqiu, he understood he ought to at least keep that hatred from bubbling to the surface. Within Sangchong Mountain, the one he undoubtedly hated the most was Luo Binghe. Luo Binghe had achieved success in his youth. His talents were extraordinary, his spiritual energy vast, and his swordplay awe-inspiring. His family background was excellent, and both his parents were alive. Any one of these things would have been enough to make Shen Qingqiu gnash his teeth and toss and turn for 3 days and 3 nights, let alone all of them together in one person. During Sangchong Mountain's annual martial arts tournament, Shen Qingqiu's opponent had been Luo Binghe. Naturally, the conclusion had been an overwhelming loss on his part. There was no shame in losing to the future Baijian Peak Lord, or perhaps one should say that this was how it should be. That was normal. But Shen Qingqiu would absolutely never think such things. What he saw wasn't the bystanders' amazement at how he'd valiantly held out for so long, but Luo Qingge's matter-of-fact arrogance as he held the point of Chenglong's blade inches from his throat. Qingjing Peak prided itself on being the gentleman's peak, and Shen Qingqiu took to playing a gentleman like a fish to water. Yet, Luo Qingge was always able to make his rage boil to the surface, to the point that he didn't bother wasting energy playing nice with his sect siblings. The thing Shen Qingqiu most often said to Luo Qingge was, Luo Qingge, I'll definitely kill you one day. Oh my god. In this particular instance, the tender young lady carrying the pipa had long since thrown on her thin robes and dashed out in terror. Luo Qingge sent him a glance. You? Kill me? It was only 3 words, but Shen Qingqiu heard boundless venom within them. His wrist turned. Yue Qingyuan saw that the situation didn't look good and pressed Shen Qingqiu's elbow downward, preventing him from drawing his sword. He looked back and yelled, Luo Shidi, you should head back! Luo Qingge looked like he couldn't be bothered to deal with this further. With a cold laugh, his figure instantly vanished. This left only the 2 of them inside the warm red pavilion. One person's clothes were mused and disheveled, while the other's had not a thread out of place. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. Yue Qingyuan yanked Shen Qingqiu off the bed. He was in a rare fit of anger. Why are you like this? You can't just ask bro why he's like this after you did this to him. They have to create a peak dedicated to therapy and communication. Oh my god, I hear the ice cream truck. The ice cream truck is right outside. I could see it. We still have cash from last night. I can see the kids running out. You gotta go. He's turning around. Hold on, guys. This is a magical moment. Do you know where my wallet is? Okay, don't go inside if he says he has a puppy or something. I can see Stitch crossing the road. I'll see if I can take a picture. Come on, will she make it? Oh, there she is. She's getting ice cream. This is so magical. I've never lived in a neighborhood with an ice cream truck before. This is like magic from our new house. This is so funny. Oh my god. That's crazy. I've never witnessed an ice cream truck literally drive up a cul-de-sac and then see just like a bunch of kids run out into the street for ice cream. Stitch literally ran across the street for it. That's so funny. I can see her. Okay, she's looking all around. She's looking very confused. Oh, she had to wait for some other kids to get cash first. Oh, he's beckoning to her. She's gonna get in. He's gonna drive away with her. Oh hell yeah. Okay. Sienna's iced scum. Thank you, Sienna. I told her that if he says that he has a puppy inside or something, not to get inside. Oh my god, so many people are coming up here. I didn't know there were so many children. This is so funny. Oh my god. Okay, I need to see her come back with ice cream. That's so funny. There are children playing in the street. This is not safe. I like how I'm literally reading about like children having the worst time ever, and then meanwhile I'm like, oh, lovely children getting ice cream. You know, if Shen Zhou and if Shen Zhou and Yue Qingyuan could just have some ice cream together, I think it would solve a lot. I know, Halloween. I would be so excited to do Halloween here, but we're going to a convention over Halloween in Portland. I know, I was just thinking, oh, she's running back. She's running back. Oh my god, look both ways. Stitch isn't from the big city. Oh my god, she's running. I've never seen her run this fast in her life. Okay, she's coming back. This is so exciting. Yeah, Mr. Kichter and my aunt will have to hand out the Halloween candy this year. I wonder if she got like the Sonic that's just like the super melted Sonic, you know? I'm so excited. I'm so excited! I saw you the whole time! I did.
But then I looked both ways.
What did we get? 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 Oh my god, you did get the Sonic! Stop! That's so funny!
And cookies and cream in case you didn't want that one.
My favorite. Oh my god. Okay, you have to open this. Gumball eyes!
You gotta open it. I got that one for you.
I gave everyone the play-by-play the whole time.
Oh my gosh, the ice cream man.
Was he nice?
He's so funny.
Yeah?
He's like, okay, that'll be $8.50 for the big kid, and then he addresses the little children behind me. See, she doesn't have to ask her mom or dad. I'm just like, you're damn right, I don't.
Okay, let's see. Yep, that's about right.
I love Sonic. That's so funny.
Thank you so much.
Oh my god. That was so exciting. My heart is racing. Is it good?
I've never had these before.
Really? Well, neither have I. I've only seen like memes of them. I didn't know they actually existed in real life.
Uh-huh. I literally made a joke being like, do you think I get the Sonic one?
Your teeth are blue.
Ah!
Okay.
Wait, I gotta keep reading. Can you put this back in the freezer for me?
Not gonna.
I'll enjoy it later.
Okay, I'll save mine too, and we can enjoy them later.
Thank you for hunting for us.
I am a provider. Put your used Sonic in the freezer.
Ah! My tongue's completely blue.
That was exciting.
You're the best.
Oh my god, you're the best.
Thank you for being so fun. Ah! I can touch my nose with my tongue. Okay. Back to our sad book. I can definitely run fast. Okay, back to pain, yeah. Okay, Shen Qingqiu lost to Luo Binghe, got really embarrassed and was like, I'll definitely kill you one day. And Luo Binghe was like, LMAO, yeah, right. And then Yue Qingyuan was like, stop that. Yue Qingyuan yanked Shen Qingqiu off the bed. He was in a rare fit of anger. Why are you like this? How can I do what? Asked Shen Qingqiu. Two of Sangchong Mountain's head disciples getting into a huge brawl inside a brothel. Does that sound good to you? If you don't tell them, and I don't either, who'd know which sect we're from? Shen Qingqiu countered. Sangchong Mountain is Sangchong Mountain. Tell me, which of Sangchong Mountain's rules decree that its disciples can't visit this place? Sangchong Mountain isn't a Buddhist monastery or a Taoist temple. They might be able to control everything else, but they can't stop me from looking for women. If Shishong finds it shameful, he should watch that mouth of Luo Qingge's. Indeed, Sangchong Mountain had never expressly ordained such a rule, but cultivators were supposed to naturally understand the concept of preserving a pure heart in nature, of exercising self-discipline, especially those of Qingjing Peak, where the Peak lords and disciples had invariably remained virtuous and unsullied. Instead, this unwritten consensus had become Shen Qingqiu's justification for sophistry. Rendered speechless, Yue Qingyuan spent some time swallowing his words before giving a muted response. I won't say anything. Luo Shidi and the others won't say anything either. No one will know. Then I must thank you both, said Shen Qingqiu as he put on his shoes. Lusting after women damages one's cultivation, said Yue Qingyuan. Oh my god. Shen Qingqiu sneered. Didn't you hear your Luo Shidi's tone with those words of his? You kill me? With your abilities? Damaged or not, they are as they are. Yue Qingyuan was silent for a moment. Luo Shidi isn't really such a bad person. He's like that with everyone, not just you. Shen Qingqiu scoffed. Like that with everyone. Don't try to deceive me, Jiangman Shishong. Is he like that with you? If you extend him a single share of kindness, he'll return it twofold, Yue Qingyuan said patiently. Jiangman Shishang is truly considerate and understanding. It's just, why doesn't he extend kindness to me first? Why not have pity on me? Show me some compassion. Why must I accommodate him? As Shen Qingqiu had turned a deaf ear to his every plea, Yue Qingyuan found it difficult to speak further. After all, he couldn't straight up tell him something like, if you hadn't used every means to ambush Luo Qingge after the meet in order to teach him a lesson, the two of you wouldn't fly into a rage at the slightest contact now, nor would you loathe the mere sight of each other. He's like, you guys could have been friends. Shen Qingqiu yanked his clothes over his shoulder with a jerk of his hand, then slid Shuya into its sheath. After taking 2 steps, he thought of something and turned around to inquire. How did you know to find me here? Who reported it to you? I went to Qingjing Peak but didn't see you, said Yue Qingyuan. Then I saw a few Shidi from Baijian Peak preparing to head there. Preparing to head there for what? Yue Qingyuan fell silent. Shen Qingqiu sneered. Preparing to gang up on me, is that right? Though conflict often erupted between Shen Qingqiu and Baijian Peak, the conflict this time was truly overblown. A Baijian Peak disciple had gone to this small remote town for a task, where he had just happened to see a familiar person enter the largest brothel in the area, the Warm Red Pavilion. From top to bottom, Baijian Peak felt the same as Luo Qingge. None of them harbored any goodwill towards Shen Qingqiu. Therefore, the disciple had obviously refused to let this chance pass by. He directly followed Shen Qingqiu into the brothel, then mocked him for being a hypocrite and actually entering this sort of place, saying he'd lost face for their entire sect. After a couple of undiplomatic words, Shen Qingqiu had beaten him severely, leaving him with serious injuries. When this disciple returned to Baijian Peak, he'd run into Luo Qingge. After questioning him, Luo Qingge had been steaming with rage. He had promptly rushed over on his sword for payback, ready to hit Shen Qingqiu back for every blow. If Yue Qingyuan hadn't caught Baijian Peak's junior disciples in their preparations to head to Qingjing Peak and dismantle Shen Qingqiu's bamboo lodgings, there was no telling what wreckage this little town would have suffered. Noting how Yue Qingyuan refused to speak, Shen Qingqiu could guess the situation, as if Baijian Peak had ever had any good intentions. So he changed the topic. Why did you go to Qingjing Peak? Didn't I tell you not to come looking for me? I just wanted to see how you were doing, said Yue Qingyuan. I've troubled Yue Shishang, said Shen Qingqiu. I'm doing very well. I might be a hateful thing to most people, but luckily the Qingjing Peak Lord doesn't despise me. If you truly are doing well, why do you never spend the night on Qingjing Peak? Yue Qingyuan asked, following on his heels. Shen Qingqiu gave him a dark look. He knew that Yue Qingyuan must be thinking that he was being excluded by the rest of Qingjing Peak. Yue Qingyuan's guess wasn't unreasonable, but he was genuinely wrong this time. Though Shen Qingqiu was unpopular among his peers, it wasn't to the extent of being kicked out of the communal sleeping quarters. He just loathed being in close quarters with those of the same sex. All those years, whenever one of his beatings from Chou Jianluo was over, or whenever he had a premonition of another beating, he had crawled to Chou Haitong's room and remained there, quivering. As Chou Jianluo was unwilling to let his sister see the side of him that was perverse and lunatic, that had been the only place where Shen Jiu could hide. And even longer ago, there had been some girl in their group, their big sis, but after she reached a certain age, that big sis had been sold to a withered old man to be his second wife. Afterward, they'd left that city, so they'd never seen her again. Liking women wasn't the least bit shameful, but treating women like saviors, cowering within their embrace and seeking courage from them, even without anyone saying it, Shen Qingqiu knew that was horrendously shameful. So even if it meant his death, he would never tell anyone, least of all Yue Qingyuan. He feels safe at the brothels because he knows nothing. I mean, he learned that, like, nothing bad would happen to him if he was, like, sleeping next to a girl. That's so fucking sad. Jeez. If I said that I wasn't doing well at Qingjing Peak, what would you do? Shen Qingqiu asked, slow and measured. Kohaku says it's suggested, but not exactly said, that he was... So far, the only line that has alluded to there being something other than physical abuse was him saying that he had, no matter how disgusting the act, he had to do it, otherwise he would be beaten. So, like, what he just said now is that it was like, It's interesting because it's more about like having a savior complex thing with women. It's like he knows when he's with women he will be safe because his main abuser would never abuse him in front of his sister. And also growing up, he had like a big sister character, and he has like trauma about how she was sold off as well. So he'd always felt protected by like a big sister, and he then felt protected by Cho Haitong. And so now he has this like thing about feeling protected when he's around women, but also as a man, you can't like say that. I don't remember the line saying male servants in the Cho household did things to him. I'm not disagreeing that there's no chance that there was sexual abuse, but I think it's also just like a fuck ton of physical beatings. Which I feel like in Danmei novels, it's like they aren't taken seriously because it's like, oh, everybody gets beaten up, everybody gets punched and shit, but it's like he was severely physically abused for sure, which is just like so fucked up. But then I'm like, why did MXTX write this? Why did MXTX write the original flavor having a savior complex about clinging to women? And I'm like, is it just to make it to be such a reversal because Shen Yuan, like Shen Qingqiu that we know from the main novel, wants to cling to Binghe's thighs, you know? The point is, Shen Qingqiu, super fucked up childhood. Yeah, he feels safe around women. 'Cause, he kept getting beaten by men. Ugh. Okay, where were we? If I said I wasn't doing well at Qingjing Peak, what would you do? Shen Qingqiu asked, slow and measured. Would you help me enter Chongding Peak, just as you recommended me for Qingjing? Yue Qingyuan gave it some thought, then said solemnly, if that's what you wanted. Clearly I don't want that, Shen Qingqiu said with a resolute humph. I want to be head disciple. Would you be willing to give me your position? Let me become the sect leader? He asked, forceful and lofty. For better or worse, Qingjing Peak ranks second among the 12 peaks. I'd rather wait to succeed this one. Yue Qingyuan sighed. Xiaojiu, why must you always act like this? When he heard that name, Shen Qingqiu's entire back shuddered with incomparable irritation. Don't call me that! Among his Qing generation peers, Shenzhou stood out as sharp and resourceful, so the Peak Lord was quite fond of him. He hadn't been around for long, nor was his foundation up to par with his peers, yet he'd been designated the successor. Once the Peak Lord gave the head disciple new names, their original ones would be discarded. In the past, Chou Jianluo had forced Shenzhou to learn how to read and write. Shenzhou had been unwilling to learn, had detested it to the point of madness, yet now it was only through his abilities in reading and studying, through being smarter than his peers, that he'd been able to earn the Qingjing Peak Lord's favor. To make it even more laughable, of the 1,000 of possible names in this world, the Peak Lord had just so happened to name him Qingqiu. But no matter how laughable, no matter how it made him gnash his teeth, Shen Qingqiu still wanted that name, for this name represented that from now onward, a shining new life was his. Shen Qingqiu gathered his thoughts and smiled happily. That name irritates me whenever I hear it. I've long forgotten it. So please, Jiangmen Shishang, you should also discard it. Yue Qingyuan said, Then the day you respond to it would be the day it no longer irritates you? A pause. Shen Qingqiu sneered. That will never happen. Yue Qingyuan, allow me to say it once more. Never let me hear that name ever again. This is some amazing tragic yaoi backstory shit right now. Like, god damn! This is so good. That last line? The day you respond to it would be the day it no longer irritates you. Like, he's gonna keep calling him that. Oh my god. Damn. Yue Qingyuan, oh fuck, he needs to just communicate, right? Just two little guys and their severed red string of fate. Ugh. Part 5. Shen Qingqiu finally couldn't take it any longer. He headed to Chongding Peak. When it came to Chongding Peak, Shen Qingqiu always tried to visit as little as possible, and when it came to Yue Qingyuan, he always tried to see him as little as possible too. Therefore, the 12 Peaks annual martial arts tournament was terribly troublesome for him. Sangchong Mountain's 12 peaks had a fixed ranking. This ranking was unrelated to the strength of each peak. Instead, had been designated back when Sangchong Mountain's first generation of peak lords had established themselves. All successive peak lords had addressed each other in accordance with the ranking, rather than by their order of entry into the sect. Therefore, even though he had entered the sect quite some time after Luo Binghe, because Qingjing Peak was ranked 2nd, only below Chongding Peak, while Baijian Peak was ranked 7th, Luo Binghe still had to address Shen Qingqiu as Shishong, if through gritted teeth. At the time, because of this ranking, Chongding Peak and Qingjing Peak's disciples were customarily positioned such that their squadron neighbors each other's. On top of that, their head disciples had to stand side by side. Yue Qingyuan was unable to catch Shen Qingqiu at other times, so he would latch onto these opportunities to ask him all sorts of questions. He chattered non-stop as he inquired after important things, like how his cultivation and studies were going, as well as trivial matters, like whether he had ample food or clothing, or whether he was cold or warm. Stop! Oh my god! Oh my god! Though Shen Qingqiu found this unbearably annoying, he wasn't stupid enough to embarrass the sect leader's head disciple before such a large audience. For every 20 questions Yue Qingyuan asked, he replied once, maintaining his distance and courtesy both, while ruminating over the techniques from his studies the night prior and contemplating other things. 1 second. Asking him if he was cold or warm. Tell me you're a stage 5 yearner without telling me you're a stage 5 yearner. This was the martial arts tournament's most comical scene every year. Perhaps the two of them didn't realize it, but for many disciples, watching these two head disciples was the only fun to be had during the Peak Lord's tedious pre-meet speeches. Oh my god, they have a fan club. They'd watch one party act unlike himself, ignoring the silence as he murmured and whispered, while the other party absent-mindedly stared straight ahead, hemming and hawing. Therefore, Shen Qingqiu's decision to voluntarily come to Chongding Peak not only surprised and pleased Yue Qingyuan, but practically all the disciples at the scene were jumping over themselves, banging gongs and drums as they yelled for everyone to come watch. Shen Qingqiu didn't have much to say. He had no interest in playing the part of circus monkey for other. He applied for permission to cultivate in the Lingshi caves, then left immediately afterward. Isolated from the outside world, the Lingshi cave overflowed with abundant spiritual energy. As Shen Qingqiu moved through the caverns, his expression grew increasingly grim. Those days he'd squandered under Qiao Junlo and Wu Yanzi had been of no small consequence. Within the new generation of Peak Lords, Yue Qingyuan had naturally attained core formation first. Qingqiu and Luo Binghe had followed practically on his heels, breaking through at the same time. Anding Peak's Shang Qinghua, with his mediocre background, had barely managed to keep up, but even he had achieved official ascension. However, the more anxious Shen Qingqiu grew, the more stuck he became, until he was suspended in place and unable to progress. He was racked with stress and anxiety. It was like he was swallowing 100 kilos of tobacco every day. It smoldered within his head and stomach, stoking his flames of rage and irritation until they erupted. With Shen Qingqiu like this, no one dared to get on his bad side, but even if they didn't dare, Shen Qingqiu didn't let them go. Luo Binghe was using the incorrect cultivation manual that Shen Qingqiu had handed him. He should have long since died, bleeding from the 7 apertures, his body rupturing down to his bones, skin, meridians, tendons, and flesh. But not only had this failed to come to pass, Luo Binghe's cultivation was steadily improving. Furthermore, Shen Qingqiu had told Ning Yingying thousands of times to stay far away from Luo Binghe and that she wasn't allowed to get involved with him, so why did he see them every day, whispering together before his eyes? Shen Qingqiu was filled with paranoia. He forever felt like everyone was secretly talking behind his back, discussing how he'd been unable to attain core formation even after this long, that it was becoming unbecoming for one in his position, that they'd hoped to secretly finish him off and replace him. So now, he secluded himself within Lingshi caves if he couldn't make a breakthrough. Shen Qingqiu sat upon the stone platform, but his thoughts continued to spiral everywhere until he'd worked himself into a cold sweat, his breath and circulation choked, stars flashing in his vision. Suddenly, he felt a burst of spiritual energy raging rampant throughout his meridians. This was no small matter. Panicking, he quickly went still, sitting tight as he attempted to rein in his mind, when a person suddenly approached him from behind. Shen Qingqiu's hair stood on end, and he snatched up Shuya, drawing it halfway as he yelled, "Who's there?" A palm gently pressed against his shoulder. "It's me," said Yue Qingyuan. Shen Qingqiu said nothing. Yue Qingyuan continued to send him spiritual energy, pacifying his wild spiritual fluctuations in their violent stampede. "My apologies. Your mind and spirit are currently disturbed. I frightened you." Shen Qingqiu had been frightened by his own spiraling thoughts. For this reason, he was even less amenable to listening to others pointed out. "Who's frightened?" he snapped angrily. "Jiangmen Shishong never enters the Lingshi caves for secluded cultivation, no? So why must you fight me for a spot the moment I do?" Thank you. "It's not true that I've never entered them," said Yue Qingyuan. "I've come here before." Shen Qingqiu was baffled by this tangent. Who cares whether your esteemed self has come here? Oh my god, there's a picture! Man, when Shen Qingqiu was abusing Luo Binghe, he was still just a baby himself. Yue Qingyuan sighed. "Shidi, can you not stay quiet for a little while and concentrate on regulating your breathing?" Upon a stone candlestick's dried wax, a faint flame flickered to life. Shen Qingqiu hadn't planned to retort, but when he took in the full sight of the cave he'd chosen, he was stunned. "Did someone duel to the death in here?" he blurted out. Countless slashes from either blade or axe gouged the cavern walls, leaving the impression of a disfigured face covered with layer upon layer of scars. The effect was both sinister and terrifying. Behind him, Yue Qingyuan said, "No, duels are forbidden in the Lingshi caves." Other than the sword gashes, there were also swaths upon swaths of dark red bloodstains. Some looked like blood sprays, as though splattered there after someone had been pierced through by a sharp blade. Others appeared to be from someone slamming their forehead into the wall, as if they were begging for something, leaving behind smear after smear with each impact. Shen Qingqiu stared at those almost blackened stains. Then, did someone die here? Whenever they interacted, it was usually Yue Qingyuan who talked tirelessly. Never had there been a situation like this, where Yue Qingyuan refused to utter a single word. Except for when Shen Qingqiu asked why he didn't come back for him. Shen Qingqiu found this alien and strange, to the point that goosebumps broke out over his body. "Yue Qingyuan, I'm here. If you're here, why won't you say something? Isn't it because the moment I do, you'll find it annoying?" This is so yowie! Oh my god, this is so good! Shen Qingqiu snorted and laughed. "That's right, you're very annoying, so you know it too." But he didn't want to fall into a silence within this darkness either, so he could only reluctantly continue on this thread. "I heard that sometimes they'll shut disciples and other sect members inside the Lingshi caves, like those who are experiencing a chi deviation, or those who have resorted to unnatural paths. Do you think this might have been one of those situations?" After a long time, Yue Qingyuan made a non-committal noise. "Oh." Shen Qingqiu had received the cold shoulder, but he still squinted at a stretch of the wall. It seems that whoever this was wanted very much to leave, he concluded. They struggled for a long time before dying. If all this blood had come from the same person, even if they had survived, they would have had one foot in the grave. Shen Qingqiu suddenly felt that something was off about the hand Yue Qingyuan had on his back. Alarmed, he said, "What's wrong?" It was a long moment before Yue Qingyuan replied, "Nothing." Shen Qingqiu shut up. He couldn't see Yue Qingyuan's expression where he stood behind him, but he could feel the hand passing him spiritual energy and how it trembled slightly. Okay. Yue Qingyuan was in the cave. He was the guy trying to get out to go save him. Banging his head against the wall, exploding blood everywhere, right? Oh, man. That scene is incredible. The tension, the dramatic irony, the yaoi angst, just the sadness of how it's written. Like, it's written so well. Oh my god. How he was giving him spiritual energy and not answering, and oh my god. When Shen Qingqiu stirred, he felt a coolness trickling from the wounds on his body. The burning, hellish pain had been alleviated by quite a bit. He struggled to open his eyes. On one knee beside him was a figure, currently looking down as he examined Shen Qingqiu's condition. Upon the white stone platform, a black hem was evenly laid, a plain and rustic longsword held firmly beneath it. Several empty, upended medicine bottles laid scattered about. The sword was Xuan Su. The person was, as one would expect, Yue Qingyuan. It was the same gentle and handsome face, just a good deal paler than usual, the exhaustion evident. At this sort of time, only Yue Qingyuan would still come see him. "How did you get in?" Shen Qingqiu asked, his voice hoarse. Luo Binghe was determined to make him suffer. There was no way he'd have been willing to let Yue Qingyuan enter the water prison to help keep him holding on by a thread. Seeing that Shen Qingqiu could speak, Yue Qingyuan sighed in relief. He held his hand while whispering, "Stop talking. Focus." He wanted to pass Shen Qingqiu spiritual energy and help those wounds heal faster. This time, at last, Shen Qingqiu didn't brush him aside because right now he was thinking, that's right, no matter what, he's still a sect leader. As harsh as Luo Binghe and that old geezer from Huanhua Palace wanted to be, they had to at least show some superficial courtesy. But it must have taken a lot of trouble for Yue Qingyuan to gain entrance. Spiritual energy coursed through Shen Qingqiu's wounds, and the pain in his twisting flesh felt like dense clusters of iron needles stabbing into him. Shen Qingqiu clenched his teeth, his hatred surging to the point that he laughed instead. That little bastard Luo Binghe sure has plenty of tricks up his sleeve. At the sound of the bone-deep venom within his tone, Yue Qingyuan sighed again. In truth, Yue Qingyuan wasn't the type to sigh much, but Shen Qingqiu was inevitably capable of wearing him to the bone. "Shiri," he said, exhausted, "we've already come this far, so why do you still refuse to consider your wrongdoings?" Even if someone had knocked out his teeth, even if he was left swallowing his own blood, Shen Qingqiu had always stubbornly refused to admit his transgressions, especially in front of Yue Qingyuan, in front of whom you could absolutely forget about any confessions. "What wrongdoings?" Shen Qingqiu asked bitterly. "Jiangmen Shishang, please tell me, what is Luo Binghe if not a bastard? You just wait. He won't be satisfied only taking it out on me. If, in the future, some tumultuous storm upsets the cultivation world, then the only thing I will have done wrong was fail to cut him down at the start." Yue Qingyuan shook his head. It seemed like he had anticipated the answer, and that he had no desire to advise or admonish him. The situation had already gone past the point of no return. Any further admonishment was pointless. Suddenly he asked, "Did you really kill Liu Shiri?" Shen Qingqiu didn't want to look at his face at all while he answered, but he couldn't help but lift his eyes, giving Yue Qingyuan's expression a quick glance. He froze for a moment, then abruptly yanked his hand out of Yue Qingyuan's grip and sat up. "You repeatedly said that you would kill him one day," said Yue Qingyuan, "but I never thought that you would actually do it." "Aren't you thinking it now?" Shen Qingqiu asked coldly. "He's already been killed. Does Jiangmen Shishang not think it too late to rebuke this humble Shen at this point, or do you wish to cleanse the sect?" "I have no right to rebuke you," said Yue Qingyuan. Both his eyes and expression were exceedingly serene, so much so that Shen Qingqiu inexplicably became furious with shame. "Then what are you trying to do?" He can even kill Luo Qingge and Yue Qingyuan still loves him? Bro, oh my god. Oh my fucking god. CSL, yeah! The fact this takes place in Pride Immortal Demon Way is what makes me wonder if this was Airplane's original writings, like the gay romance between them. And then the Zhongjian literature crowd was like, no, we need Binghe fucking bitches. Yeah, I feel like maybe he didn't kill him either. But still, the fact that Yue Qingyuan can think that Shen Qingqiu killed Luo Qingge and then still be like, I'm not here to admonish you. Like, oh my god. The yearning. I have no right to rebuke you, said Yue Qingyuan. Both his eyes and expression were exceedingly serene, so much so that Shen Qingqiu inexplicably became furious with shame. Then what are you trying to do? Has Shidi ever considered that if you hadn't treated Luo Binghe like that in the beginning, everything that unfolded today never would have happened? Shen Qingqiu burst into laughter. Why does Jiangman Shishang say such ludicrous things? What's happened has happened. I've already considered it hundreds of thousands of times. There is no if, no in the beginning. There was never any chance of redemption. Yue Qingyuan slowly raised his face. Shen Qingqiu knew that saying those words was as good as taking a knife and stabbing it into Yue Qingyuan's chest. At first he was gleeful, but then he looked at Yue Qingyuan, woodenly kneeling as he stared blankly at Shen Qingqiu. All of Yue Qingyuan's composure, poise, and demeanor had disappeared, as if he'd aged many years in an instant, and when Shen Qingqiu saw this, a strange sensation suddenly welled inside his heart. It was probably pity. The stalwart mountain that never changed, the eternally calm and collected sect leader Yue of Sangchong Mountain, was at this moment so wretched, so browbeaten, that Shen Qingqiu couldn't help but feel pity. And with this pity, something inside Shen Qingqiu's chest, a knot that had resided within him for many years, finally came undone. With that, he came to the cheerful conclusion that Yue Qingyuan had truly done everything he could. He had gone above and beyond to fulfill the calls of both kindness and duty. Regardless of how much guilt weighed down his heart, his debt had long since been repaid in full. You should go, said Shen Qingqiu. I'll tell you this. Even if all of this could be redone from the beginning, in the end, the conclusion would remain the same. My heart is full of malice, my insides hatred and resentment. Today, Luo Binghe wishes for me to die horribly, and I only have myself to blame. Oh my god! Do you still hold such hatred within yourself? Asked Yue Qingyuan. Shen Qingqiu laughed uproariously. Only when I see other people unhappy can I be happy myself. What do you think? Holding Xuansu across both hands, Yue Qingyuan offered it to Shen Qingqiu. If you still hold such hatred, draw Shen Shu and take my life. This is incredible. This is an incredible book just on its own. Shen Qingqiu scoffed. You asked me to kill you here, sect leader Yue. Are you unsatisfied with the crimes Luo Binghe has already charged me with? You think them too few? Besides, who do you think you are? My hatred will be resolved as long as I kill you? I'm far beyond cure. I hate everything. Don't blame this humble Shen for any disrespect or mockery, but if sect leader Yue considers himself that very cure, he thinks too highly of himself. He was devastatingly straightforward with this humiliation of Yue Qingyuan, but the latter didn't withdraw his hands. It was like he hadn't understood. Instead, he seemed to summon his courage. Xiao Zhou. Don't call me that! Shen Qingqiu snarled. Slowly, Yue Qingyuan's hands slumped, the sword lowering with them. A long moment passed, and then he went to hold Shen Qingqiu's hand again. He sent him an unceasing flow of spiritual energy, helping to alleviate those injuries. It was like his courage had been shattered, for all through the following moments, Yue Qingyuan never again opened his mouth to speak. Finally, Shen Qingqiu said, I thank Jiangman Shisheng for his generosity. Now get lost. Never appear before me again. Yue Qingyuan put Xuansu back on his waist, then complied with Shen Qingqiu's wish and slowly walked out. If you can escape this sect leader Yue, get far away as you can, From now on, never again involve yourself with a thing like Shen Qingqiu. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, he's trying to push him away to safety. Like, he still has that humanity in him. He still has that love for Yue Qingyuan in him. Like, as fucked up as he is, like, at his core, he has that. Oh my god. With his remaining eye, Shen Qingqiu stared at the cellar entrance. After staring at it for an unknown number of days, Luo Binghe finally returned. Even when inside a damp and gloomy underground prison, Luo Binghe was as graceful and elegant as ever, unsoiled and pristine. As he stepped over the hardened, blackened bloodstains on the ground, he spoke charmingly. Sect Leader Yue kept the appointment, as expected. I am truly grateful to that tactful yet sorrowful letter of blood Shizun wrote. Otherwise, this disciple could never have succeeded so easily. Originally, this disciple wanted to bring Sect Leader Yue's body back to show Shizun, but the arrows had been drenched in a rare poison. When he got close and touched them, even slightly, Sect Leader Yue just... Alas, I could only retrieve his sword. Let's call it a memento for Shizun. Fuck. Luo Binghe was lying. Luo Binghe was a shameless, treacherous little liar who spoke only falsehoods. His flagrant lies were uncountable, so this time, too, he had to be conniving away with some plot or scheme with which to deceive others. Luo Binghe sat down on a chair off to the side. Whenever he watched Shen Qingqiu scream and wail, he always used this seat. He scraped at the leaves drifting within his steaming cup of tea and commented, Heroes and famed swords come in pairs. Xuanzu is indeed an excellent blade, worthy of Sect Leader Yue. However, there's something even more wondrous about that sword. Sect Leader Yue's cultivation has truly opened my eyes. While Shizun is enjoying his remaining days here, if you're bored with nothing to do, you can thoroughly ponder it. It is truly very interesting. Shen Qingqiu didn't understand. In Huahua Palace's water prison, upon their last meeting with each other, he'd done his utmost to be callous, cruel, and sarcastic. He'd told Yue Qingyuan to get lost, and Yue Qingyuan had done so. Shen Qingqiu had been uncertain if that letter of blood would call him here, but no normal person, if they were sound throughout, would step into such a blatant, undisguised trap. He still didn't understand. I thought you weren't coming. Oh my god, he came in the end and that was what got him fucking killed. Are you kidding me? They started with a letter of blood and they ended with a letter of blood. That is so fucking sad. Got him! Bingo, probably. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Luo Binghe found his results, yet unsatisfactory. He smiled brightly. Ah, right. Though Shizun's letter of blood was awfully heart-wrenching, it was a bit sloppy and half-hearted. After all, it had been perfunctorily written for this disciple while under great duress. This disciple understands. Therefore, in order to express your sincerity, I had 2 other things specially sent with it. Shen Qingqiu understood. Those other things were the 2 legs that had once been attached to his body. This one far too comical. Once he'd waited days and nights for that person, and he hadn't come, and now when he'd never thought that person would, he just had to. On the corner of Shen Qingqiu's lips hung a cold smile. Ha, ha, ha. Yue Qingyuan, ah, Yue Qingyuan. Originally, Luo Binghe's mood could have been considered cheerful, but when he saw that bizarre smile, he inexplicably became upset. What are you smiling about? He asked gently. Shen Qingqiu ignored him, but continued to sneer. Luo Binghe shed his gleeful expression. Shen Qingqiu, he said attentively, do you think that pretending to be insane will work on me? Luo Binghe, said Shen Qingqiu, enunciating every syllable, you're a bastard. You know that? A sudden silence descended around them. Luo Binghe stared at him, and Shen Qingqiu stared unswervingly back. Suddenly, Luo Binghe's lips twitched. His right hand gently caressed Shen Qingqiu's left shoulder, then squeezed. A terrifying scream pierced the air. Blood sprayed from the fresh stump that had been Shen Qingqiu's left arm, and he howled while roaring with laughter, his breath broken and stilted. Luo Binghe, ha 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 ha, Luo Binghe, you... For Luo Binghe, torturing Shen Qingqiu was an incredibly satisfying pastime. Shen Qingqiu's screams made him feel like he was floating in paradise, but this time, for some reason, Luo Binghe didn't feel the same joy. His chest heaved, its rise and fall growing increasingly violent. With a kick, he knocked Shen Qingqiu over, making him spin in place on the ground, smearing blood all over the floor. Previously, Luo Binghe had ripped off his 2 legs in the same manner, as if plucking limbs from an insect. Pain tore through Shen Qingqiu, the kind that made him feel like he was in hell, yet the sensation no longer seemed real. On the contrary, he became lucid, clear, and rational. Luo Binghe, everything you have today you owe to taking me as your master, so shouldn't you thank me? Instead, you're wholly unable to tell what's good for yourself. As expected, you're an ungrateful bastard. Ha 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 ha. Luo Binghe's rage passed in an instant, and he suddenly calmed down. His smile was sinister as he said softly, "Do you want to die? How can something like death come so cheaply? Shizen, you've committed many evils in your life. You hurt those with whom you've had grievances, and also those against those You hurt those with whom you had grievances, and also those against whom you bore no grudges. Even when half in your grave, you managed to drag down a sect leader. If your death isn't drawn out, if you don't simultaneously endure everyone else's sufferings at least once, how can you do right by them?" With a wave of his hand, he cast Xuanxu's fragments onto the ground. When Shen Qingqiu heard the resulting clatter, it was as if his throat had been slashed with an invisible knife. His laughter instantly stopped. Amidst disheveled hair and a face drenched in blood, a single eye shone brightly, a white fire glowing in the dark night. He shakily dragged himself towards those broken sword fragments. There was nothing left, only a single blade. He had single-handedly created the Luo Binghe of today, but who had single-handedly wrought this ending of Shen Qingqiu's? Yue Qingyuan shouldn't have met this kind of fate. For the purpose of attending a decade-late appointment, in order to fulfill a futile, meritless promise. The sword broken, the man dead. It shouldn't have been like this. Threads of blood unfurled, extending outward. Right before they should have converged into one, they passed each other by. Oh, fuck. Gonna need that emotional support ice cream after this. That was so good. That was just like written incredibly powerfully. Like it works as a short story only because we had 3 volumes that was also establishing this in the background, you know, but that was so, oh my god, that was just because it was a sad ending doesn't mean it was a really good story. Like, oh man. It makes me wonder about, like, the current happy timeline where Shen Qingqiu was with Binghe and what Yue Qingyuan must be thinking, seeing him happy. It works out so well that like our Shen Yuan didn't know this. And that's why he didn't. I mean, it's not like they ever brought it up. Man. I know I just read it, but Yue Qingyuan couldn't go and save him because his master, like, was abusing him in the cave or something, right? Like, he was, like, fucking chi deviating in the cave just because his master was, like, a crazy abuser too, right? Damn. I love that we got to see the cave and that he was there in that moment. And as Shen Qingqiu was like, damn, something really fucked up here happened, didn't it? Oh, man. Visual J, thank you for your donation. Thanks for reading the extra for us. I've avoided it for 2 years. I don't think I could have read it alone. Please get yourself more ice cream. Oh, man, thank you. I appreciate your donation. It is a lot easier reading this heavy stuff with a group of people, for sure. He tried to take the sword, and his sword was too powerful for him, so he basically started exploding. So his master locked him in the cave instead of getting him help. Fuck, man. He was trying to cultivate too quickly in an effort to get stronger, so he chi deviated. Right. Yep. Fuck. Wait, right when... What was the line? Right when they were supposed to meet, they passed by each other. Man, just imagine the imagery of like the sword on the ground and like his blood unfurling, and they're supposed to meet and they pass by each other. Like, oh, it's so good. The visual metaphor and the actual pain is so good. Ah. Ooh, Crease Noir, thank you for your donation. So now that you've read that absolutely train wreck in slow motion, I highly recommend Shadows Can Bleed, a Binghe x Shenjuan sort of fix-it fic. It's very compelling. Ooh! Oh, man. I mean, I'm, like, how the, like, the unrequited love of Yue Qingyuan and the guilt that he must feel towards Shen Qingqiu, even like our Shen Qingqiu, like Shen Yuan Shen Qingqiu, like, oh my god. I like how it's like, oh, like, Luo Qingge probably has feelings for him, but like, too bad he's with Binghe, like, damn, oh, poor Luo Qingge, he has to go punch some rocks to get over it. Meanwhile, there's Yue Qingyuan. But I feel like Yue Qingyuan would just be so happy he's okay that he, like, wouldn't... Only in his deepest, darkest feelings would he be, like... You know... Oh, fuck. That was really good. Is there a ship name for Yue Qingyuan and Shenzhou or Shen Qingqiu? He would cry himself to sleep but smile to Shen Qingqiu the next day. Ugh. Qingqiu. Fuck. Goddamn. Or 79. 79. Ah! It's so good. It's so compelling. I'm so compelled by that shit. That was so good. 79 balls. You know what is really good too? What I really like is that Shen Zhou, you know, he had that, like, why didn't you come back for me pain towards Yue Qingyuan all these years, right? Of course, we know it's a misunderstanding, but to him, he's very rightfully so like, fuck you, why didn't you fucking come back for me? And he's not getting an answer. So he's allowed to be upset with Yue Qingyuan, you know? But then by the end of it, because like when Yue Qingyuan comes and visits him and stuff like that, he loses that. Like, you see, he loses his, like, pain and hatred for him, you know? Like, even though he didn't find out the answer, he lost that hatred for him. He wanted to save him. He tried to shoo him away to save him. And I love that he did that all on his own without even knowing the truth. He still tried to save him in the end. Like, they still had that bond and that, like, love for each other in the end, even though there was the misunderstanding. And then the fact that, like, the Shen Qingqiu we know finds out the truth, right? Like, oh, from so many angles, it is so satisfying for the reader. Like, that's crazy. Like, this type of satisfaction can only take place in a novel with transmigration and, like, redoing lives over and getting so many different perspectives. Fuck. MXGX wrote this when she was, like, in fucking school? What the hell? It is very much like Arha. MXTX was going through it. Fuck, man. Oh, Kate, I need you to draw Qingqiu. That was really good, man. Airplane and meat bun shaking hands. Kate says, I know you'd like Qingqiu. You know me so well, Kate. God damn, that was so fucking compelling. Oh, I missed Icy's member message. The fact Yue Qingyuan will never know he was in the room when his Joe died. Lorelai, ow! Has Meatbone ever said that she was inspired by Scum Villain? Was there like an interview or something? Thank you for your donation, Chris Noir, and also Lorelai. Oh man, I'm so fucked up right now. Icy has been a member for 13 months. Thank you so much, Icy. Remember when Madame Mei Yin said Shen Qingqiu had a previous red thread of fate that snapped? Oh my fucking god, bro. Oh my fucking god! You're so right! Oh shit! This is the kind of thing that just fucking inspires art. Like, it's something so emotionally impactful that it inspires art. Oh. Damn. Now I have to reread the whole book. I understand now, Night Owl, why there are so many other ships, because it's really fucking compelling. It's not just like, oh yeah, ship Shalian with fucking someone random for no reason, you know? It's not like shipping... I'm not putting down any ships when I say this, but like, oh, people who ship like Hua Chung and Blackwater together, it's like purely because they have a transactional relationship and they're hot. It's like, there's real fucking depth to these relationships. I'm so upset. Shenzhou gets here's the fic. Shenzhou gets reincarnated into Shen Yuan's modern day life, and he meets transmigrated Yue Qingyuan in the modern world, and that's where they can be together. And maybe there can be something where it's like, if your red string of fate gets severed, it's truly never severed. It's just gone into another universe. Dr. Sprout said you're going to be the saddest person eating a Sonic ice cream in 2025. Hi, Jessica. I'm going through it. Like, give me the fucking modern day coffee shop AU. Shenzhou just got transmigrated into Shen Yuan's body. He's fucked up. He doesn't understand cars. He walks into a cafe and sees Yue Qingyan, the barista. And he gets a do-over. They all get do-overs. And everything is okay. Ah! Jessica, this is like the best extra! Oh my god! I know, Kate, it's so upsetting. Oh my god. I'm so fucked up. There's more angst coming? How? How is there possibly more angst? What the fuck else could happen? I'm like, the next one there has to just be Moshang, and then there has to be wine in your ass. Like, there can't be more. How can there be more angst? Icy says, think of all the beautiful fan art you get to see. Oh. We get Tianlin Jun x Sushian. Fucking kill me right now. Oh my god. Guys. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to go. I need to talk to Stitch about this. Okay, guys, I love you guys. That was so enjoyable. I literally had such a good time, though, because I do like angst when it's, like, deserved. Like, it was just written so well. It made so much sense. It hurt from so many different angles. And it was just really good. It felt so twisted, but it was really, really well written. And experiencing that with you guys, seeing once I, like, realized stuff and seeing the chat just be like, yup, she gets it. Oh, brother, like, it was a really special experience. So, I don't know when I'm going to stream again. I will have to make a post. But check out my new video. I talk a little bit about Scum Villain in it. Check out my new video. I just uploaded it right before the stream. Check out my new site, kickter.com. Check out some merch. Okay, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye! Lorelei says, a divide between autumn and spring, give Shenyuan saving Shenzhou and give him his happy ending. Okay, I will check it out. I will check it out. Okay. Okay, bye!